Black Panther.
What?
No, seriously. Black Panther, you thought I was going to say like Empire or Power or something, but no. If you were to ask me what I believe Anacostia at this point most clearly resembles or aligns with in terms of the cultural landscape, I'd say it's Black Panther. Stay with me, because we certainly don't have, hundreds of millions of dollars in production or promotion costs, and there's, no vibranium. But what there is something that is even more important in its similarity, which is Black Panther right now is sparking a lot of conversations about how something we once believed wasn't possible, that there wouldn't be an audience, that there wouldn't be the talent pool, that there wouldn't be the opportunity or the interest in a African-American driven version of something that had been previously a very specifically defined genre. It wasn't that there weren't black superheroes. There certainly were. There were black mainstream superheroes. But in terms of the larger universe of films and television, it's come slowly. People have really, despite the what we know about how African Americans spend their money, despite the fact that we know that people today more than ever simply see people as people. People love Beyonce because she's Beyonce. People don't love Beyonce because she's black. And Beyonce's fans are not just black people. But there's still a mindset, particularly in the very risk-averse entertainment world of, we have to play it safe. We can't take risks. And while, I personally would love to back this kind of entertainment, I just don't know if it will sell. And what that's done is put an onus and a responsibility on creators and artists willing to collaborate outside that mainstream decision-making process to sort of prove the viability of that art first. And to that end, we're very lucky to be living and working in a digital era. The beautiful thing about the web, it's very democratic, and it allows almost anyone with an iPhone or a Galaxy 8 Plus to create content. And that's one of the most magical things, because I think anybody who has an artist inside deserves the opportunity to let that shine. But what it also does is create a barrier, sort of a train tracks between all of this user-created art, niche art that's for specific audiences. It's not by professionals. And then what we would think of as mainstream art, what receives the attention and the press and gets awards and generates interest beyond the original community it was created for. People look at me all the time and people laugh and say, how's Anacostia done it? How's Anacostia done it? And there are two answers to that. One, Anthony Anderson. I mean, by this man's heart, by this man's soul, he for 8 years has built something, and each year has built another layer. And when your foundation is that strong, the house only gets bigger, stronger, and more impressive. And so this house that Anthony built really speaks for itself. But the other answer is we had no business to. We had no business to, according to everyone. According to everyone, a show like this should not be in Emmy contention, let alone win one. A show like this should not get national press. It's not based out of New York, out of LA. It didn't start with the sponsorship or participation of any established or known actors, though we have been so blessed that the quality of what we've done and Anthony's passion attracted Martha Byrne, and then later Liz Hubbard and Jennifer Bassi. There was no reason it should have succeeded the way it did, but it did because it was good. And so I'm hoping that Anacostia is the beginning. I'm hoping that Anacostia and the attention it's received, both from the mainstream players, but also people all over the country, people all over the world, people write us from other countries, and their interest in these stories, not because they are black stories, not because they are DC stories, but because they are good stories that reflect the human condition. I am sincerely hoping that that will lead to more opportunities for people of color, for LGBT artists, for people with a feminist point of view, all these niches that people said couldn't do. Well, the internet has democratized that, but there weren't those proofs of concept out there that will now start attracting the mainstream sponsorship. So what Black Panther is doing for comic book movies, obviously on a scale that's like, I think Anacostia really has done. Anacostia is something that stands alone as a proof of concept that a genre that people previously felt could only work commercially and critically in a very specific way absolutely had room for, in fact, pent-up demand for these kinds of stories, people and places that have been historically underrepresented on screen for the first time in a way that feels authentic and aspirational. And when the art is good, when it is creatively satisfying, when it delivers that kind of minute by minute high octane entertainment that is worth an audience's time, I mean, you've really achieved something special. And whether it's a big budget breakthrough like Black Panther, or what you're seeing with Anacostia, a web show that's been around for 8 years but achieved a real creative and technical zenith in these last 6 episodes, the back half of season 5. What we're doing is proving once and for all those stereotypes can be shattered and new heights can be achieved. And it makes me just want to give Anthony Anderson a big hug, because if his dream hadn't been realized in this way, which was completely up to him inspiring enough people to come along when this thing should never have worked at all, we wouldn't be here. And so that's why I say Black Panther. I don't think people realize that Wesley Snipes was trying to develop Black Panther for decades, and it's finally come to be. But now that it's here, it's that proof of concept. So I know you were expecting more of an empire or a power or some kind of generations, some kind of show, in the African American timeline of soap opera. But I think it's bigger than that.